Hi there, this is John Wilkinson again from History Made Easier, with a presentation wrapping up Hitler's rise to power. And I'll begin by repeating what I said at the end of my Helped into Power presentation, when I said that the Nazis were the biggest party in the Reichstag, and so they had a right to expect Hindenburg to invite them to try and form a new government. Their votes were a result of the Great Depression and the unemployment that came in its wake, so that remains an important factor. And I can add that defeat, the armistice and the Treaty of Versailles, and too the humiliation of 1923, all came flooding back to many of those voters who turned to the Nazis. It's important not to forget these things. Hitler did a great job organising the Nazi Party, and Goebbels did a great job with propaganda. Yet ultimately, Hitler was helped into power by the traditional elite, who had never wanted the Republic, and who, along with the communists, had never wanted democracy. All important points to remember in any explanation of why Hitler became Chancellor. And the government looked as if it would be dominated by Papen and others from the acceptable right. Papen was made Vice-Chancellor and Reich Commissioner of Prussia. Remember, it was Papen who as Chancellor had put Prussia under direct central control. And Hindenburg had declared that he would not receive Hitler without Papen also being present. Hugenberg was made the Economics Minister and Minister of Food and Agriculture too. Lutz Schwerin von Kossack as Finance Minister and Konstantin von Neurath as Foreign Minister were already in place, having served in both the Papen and Schleicher administrations, holding the same posts. Another nationalist, Franz Gärtner, was later made Minister of Justice. Representing the Steel Helmets was their co-leader, Franz Zentner, who was made Minister of Labour. General Werner von Blomberg was made Minister of Defence. Hindenburg trusted him to maintain the army's position as a state within a state. This left the Nazi Party members of the government very much outnumbered. Wilhelm Frick was made Minister of the Interior, and Hermann Goering was made Minister without portfolio, a minister without a ministry, but which left him free to meddle everywhere. And he was also acting Prussian Minister of the Interior. Now these were positions Hitler insisted on if any deal was to be brokered. Why? Because it put the Nazis in the driving seat when it came to a range of domestic policy, including law and order and control of the police in Prussia, by far the biggest and most important state. What happened was that the established right, the traditional elite, the great landowners, the generals, the top civil servants, the judiciary, the archbishops, and the bankers and businessmen, supported by the ranks of the middle classes, had all joined forces with the radical right, who had been taken over by the Nazi Party, though it did include Hugenberg's German National People's Party, but that was fiercely opposed to democracy and championed authoritarianism. And though they had once sought to restore the Kaiser, they accepted the chance to do so had gone. The established right had to change. They accepted the modern age, the era of the masses, and had given up on an old imperial Germany. The Republic had to be got rid of, though. Order and stability had to be imposed. But to achieve this, they realised that leadership of a new kind was needed. Leadership with the support of the masses behind it. If that leader could be controlled, then as they had done with Wilhelm I, they could once more take control of things. They had enough in common to make it work too. A passionate belief in Germany and Germans, true Germans that is, and with that a belief that Germany was being undermined by non-Germans, undermined from beyond its borders through the Treaty of Versailles, and undermined from within by Jews, beginning with the stab in the back. They believed that Germany needed to rediscover its core values, work, discipline, the family, etc. Another thing they felt was being undermined by Jews. They believed in the struggle between nations, between peoples, and they believed in the need for strong leadership. And they believed that Germany would rise again. All of this was shared by the right, the established traditional right and the new radical right. So that Hitler and the Nazi Party were not saying anything that hadn't been said since 1919, in the officers' mess, the private clubs at the elites, the businessmen's clubs, in university lecture halls, in the newspapers and other publications owned by the elite, and too from the pulpit on a Sunday. And it appeared as if the old conservative traditional elite were firmly in control. After all, Hindenburg was president, and what he had made he could unmake. And as far as the day-to-day government was concerned, Papen was confident that the old conservative traditional elite would be more than enough to deal with the upstarts from the Nazi Party. What, after all, was their experience of government? Within 2 months, we will have pushed Hitler so far into a corner that he'll squeak. That's how Papen viewed things. We know Papen was very wrong, but that's another sorry tale, and will be another series of videos. Now don't forget that if you're interested in tutorials, you can see if I have a slot free. Just get your parents to get in touch with me at historymadeeasier@gmail.com and we'll see if we can work something out. 3 things to say about my tutorials. They are designed to stand on their own. That is, they will not require more work from you outside of the tutorial, unless that is something you want. They are focused on your needs too. Though, having said that, you might find it more useful to have them with a friend and share ideas and share the cost. And on the subject of cost, I'm happy to negotiate a fee your parents are comfortable with. I'm in this to help, not become rich, which is just as well. But for now, let me thank you, as I hope I always do, for listening, and wish you the very best of luck in your studies. Cheers.